But let's move in 11 through 20. Again, don't forget to let us know your thoughts for the mailbag coming up. And also, if you're here, check out twitter.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We have a Spurs fan that's been talking to me on Twitter. So if you want to talk to me on Twitter about any of the NBA draft stuff, definitely check that out. We'll talk a little bit about the Spurs pick when Ricky gives us his 11 through 20.
Yep, and my 11 through 20. I keep forgetting that we did. We just were like, hey, what are we going to talk about this segment? I'm geared to go, and I was like, oh, wait, I got to tell you who I picked. But the Hornets at 11, they're going to go Darius Garland, the guard from Vanderbilt. Then at number 12, the Orlando Magic go Keldon Johnson, the guard from Kentucky. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves go Brandon Clark, the forward from Gonzaga. Then the Celtics, via the Kings at 14, go Kobe White, the guard from UNC. Then the Heat at 15 go Sekou Demboya, the forward from overseas. Then at 16, the Nets go P.J. Washington, the forward from the Kentucky Wildcats. 17, the Pistons take Kevin Porter Jr., the guard from USC. Then the Celtics, again, this time via the Clippers, at 18, going Jonte Porter, the center. I guess I missed that classification. Last year was a forward. Now everyone's listing him as a center from Missouri. Then the Jazz at 19 go Grant Williams, a forward from Tennessee. And then last but not least, number 20, the Spurs go Lewis King, the forward from Oregon. Quack, quack.
All right, Dave, give us your 11 through 20.
For number 11, Ricky, can you help me out with this name? I just love the way you say his name so much. I've got the Hornets taking
Rui Hachimura.
I love the way he just says it, so I'm just going to reference him every single time.
The ha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
God. At number 12, I've got the Magic going Kobe White. At 13, I've got the Timberwolves going with Romeo Langford. At 14, the Celtics taking Bull. At 15, because that's the number after 14, I've got the Heat going Sekou Demboya. At 16, I've got the Nets going Brandon Clark. At 17, the Pistons taking Nasir Little. 18, the Celtics taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 19, I've got the Jazz going P.J. Washington. And 20, I've got the Spurs taking KZ Okpala.
And my 11 through 20... Did I delete that? No, I didn't delete it. All right, sorry. I have a lot of tabs open. 11 through 20, we have Hornets taking Keldon Johnson. 12, the Magic taking Romeo Langford. 13, the T-Wolves taking Brandon Clark. 14, the Celtics via the Kings taking P.J. Washington. 15, the Heat taking Bull. 16, the Nets taking Rui Hachimura. 7, the Pistons taking Kevin Porter Jr. 18, the Celtics taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 19, the Jazz taking Cam Johnson. Dave's saying he's overrated, or at least, what's it called, an overdraft?
Yeah.
Too high. And then finally, 20, the Spurs taking KZ Okpala from Stanford. So in this segment, we're talking P.J. Washington, Cam Johnson, the Jazz, the Celtics 2 picks, and the Nets. Let us know if you want to talk about any other prospect. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below if we don't touch upon them. But let's start out with P.J. Washington. I have him going 14 to the Celtics. Ricky, you have him going 16 to the Nets. And Dave, you have him going the lowest at 19 to the Jazz. I just look at him, and I understand that these older guys, there's not that potential.
Yeah.
I have Kevin Porter going behind P.J. Washington, and Kevin Porter's obviously a freshman with a ton of potential. But something that P.J. Washington has done is that he has been able to grow as a player, and you've really seen this next level to him in his second year at Kentucky, and it's been truly fun to watch. And this is a guy that was talented. I mean, he was a 14th recruit in the 2017 high school rank, and that's something that is, he was above guys like Lonnie Walker. He was a guy above like Trey Young. Shea Gilgeous, he was above. Gafford, he was above. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He was a guy that came out and he was really performing at a well level. He's up there with a lot of great names, that are producing. So
in high school,
but I mean but still
that first year of college.
He didn't play well. But he's now getting the opportunity to, and you're seeing what he's been doing really since the turn of the calendar, about Martin Luther King Day, I think it was, since January 15th in the past 17 games, 52% from the field. He's shooting 45% from 3, 64% from the line, 7 boards, 1.3 blocks, 17 points. He just looks like a modern day 4. He looks like he's not afraid to score. He looks like he's not afraid to be versatile on the floor. he just looks like an all-around good basketball player. And I understand that he's not a freshman, but he still has a ton of potential. And he just finally is getting that tapped into by Calipari this year, and I really love what he's been able to do since January. I think this is going to be something that if you put him on the Celtics, a team that's going to be losing Marcus Morris, this might be a very good fit, a natural fit to kind of plug him in once he's ready.
He's a pretty good rebounder, too.
He might not be ready right away, but he's grabbing 7 boards in that stretch since January 15th. I think it's a really good fit. I think he's a guy that's mature as well, and I think he's going to be a guy that can still grow once he's selected and in the NBA, especially if he's playing alongside the talent in Boston. I think that he might take a little while to grow like he did in college, but I think if he's playing up against veterans and he needs to rise to the occasion, I think he is a guy that can do that. I really like him for the Celtics, especially at that stretch 4 spot.
But the interesting thing is at the stretch 4, would you prefer him over Bull?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. How many times do I have to say that I do not like Bull? He's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. I do not think the talent is there for the risk. The risk is higher than the reward.
Really?
I think. Yes, the risk is massive.
Even in a teens pick.
The risk is massive.
For a team with multiple picks.
It's like, do I want to take a free vacation to Ireland, but with a rookie pilot driving? And not even a rookie pilot, like a guy who's in training, who's like 16. Like
How many hours of training does he have?
10. He's flying a 747.
I mean, like, the hardest part's landing, but like everything else is pretty much automatic at this point, right?
Just don't.
Am I in the play?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm taking a free vacation to Ireland, but I have to go with a 16-year-old pilot who's never flown a 747 before.
I mean, it can't be that hard, right? They pretty much fly themselves these days, right?
Close.
I would do it. I would pull the trigger on taking Bull there. I mean, if you're the Celtics, you have multiple picks this year, multiple picks next year. I'm taking a swing. I think that I don't disagree. P.J. Washington has evolved his game. He's gotten better everywhere across the board. He's blocking shots at an incredible rate. The big thing for me, though, is how much more can he continue to develop his game versus what I've seen out of a handful of games out of Bull, where he just looks incredible. Just outright incredible. You will never get anything physically comparable to him. Potentially, again, I don't know anything that I've ever seen close to that. So when you get that opportunity, I don't know that I would pass on that when I have as many chances in the draft in the next couple of years as the Celtics have. Especially for a guy who's going to be a bench player anyway. Like, you're not going to give this guy a ton of minutes. You already have your starters locked in.
But that's not true, because if Marcus Morris is leaving in free agency because he's a free agent, that might open up a spot at the 4 position.
Yeah, you just slide in one of your 4 wangs.
Yeah, either
Williams,
you can move Boosley,
Hayward down. No,
you
move Hayward or Tatum down.
Yeah.
But even then, if you're trading for AD, then that's,
If you're getting Anthony Davis, you're still playing on the bench.
I know it's going to fill up that spot again. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be. I just wanted to make that up.
Okay.
If you're trading Tatum, you're going to just have to put AD there.
The thing that I looked at, and this was me with the Celtics in general, even with their 3rd pick that they had in this mock draft.
Yeah.
There were 3 things that I looked to target. One, and this is in no particular order. Number 1, a 2 guard, because if you're going to get AD, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all, if not all, one will be in that deal. So you're going to need somebody to replace that. Number 2, I'm going to take a center, no matter where it is. I'm going to take a center with one of these picks. And then with that 3rd, for me, that's kind of like a luxury one of fit what you think is best. And for me, because I am anticipating Kyrie leaving, give me a point guard. Give me one of these guys that I can take at the point guard position, because right now the only one under contract next year, yes, you can re-sign Rozier, but we'll see if another team tries to not max him out, but say, money. Here you go, is Marcus Smart. So that is, to me, the 3 that I went with: center, 2 guard, point guard.
Well, the thing that if we're looking at my board for the Celtics, it would be P.J. Washington, Bol, and Kevin Porter. Kevin Porter could be that 2 guard, but I just think you need someone who has a little bit more maturity, and I think that P.J. Washington brings that. And then really it's the question between Bol and P.J. I understand the talent, the ceiling is there. I cannot trust it. I think he's going to break.
You wouldn't use a 1st-round pick on him, even though you have
Bol?
3. Yeah,
I would, but I would not pass up P.J. Washington. If he
3
falls,
picks in the first
if he
round.
falls to 18, if he falls to the Clipper pick, I would take Bol.
Okay.
And even last draft, I had Bol at 14 for the Celtics. Like that's where he starts to come into my radar.
Okay.
Like that's where he starts
That's
to be.
fair.
To
That's
be
what I was trying to
picking.
find out because I know you're so anti him. I was like, where is
He's
that
top 20.
barometer?
He's gonna be picked in the top 20.
Okay.
And most likely, although I have these feelings right now, he's probably even gonna rise to top 10. I mean, Bobo is extremely talented offensively. Yeah. I'm not trying to take away from his talent. I just don't think he will be on the court. Yeah. And that's a huge problem. The best ability is availability, like we were saying last time.
Hey.
So I just think that's something that is extremely concerning to me for Bobo. So I look at PJ Washington. I think that he's just a guy that is going to continue to grow in the NBA. And also, you look at what he's done so far in the NBA, and from NBA threes, he's 19 of 39, 48%. Like he can shoot right now.
Yeah.
And he's a great long mid-range shooter as well. He's 50% there. The only places he struggles is short mid-range, 27 of 70. So that just tells me he has a finishing problem. But also, I think he can bulk up a little bit more.
And maybe his shot selection can be improved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that also he doesn't have any. I don't think he has a ton of great moves exactly. I think he's a very good shooter. He doesn't have the ability to fake out guys, and he gets his shot blocked a lot. So I think that's the biggest thing that I look at is he does
have great instinct on defense for his size. He plays very well.
And I think as a stretch four, he's a smart player. It's a great fit for Boston. I think you can't pass it up. I think he's exactly the player you want for Boston. How does he fit for you guys though? I mean, do you think he's going to take a rise for you guys, or is he kind of set behind that 14? Is he a lottery pick at all?
Who, PJ Washington?
Yeah, PJ Washington.
I have him right outside, just outside the lottery right now. I mean, possibility, but I mean, the thing that I think looks at it is, I mean, the ball is going to be the big one. Him and Darius Garland are going to be the big ones because the injuries, we are going to get those questions at the combine.
Yep.
Another thing that's going to be answered at the combine is Jonte Porter. If he comes in shape, if he comes healthy, he's a guy that right now I have at 18, he can jump to that next one. And as Dave's showing me, May 15th is how long we have to wait until the combine, 15th through the 19th of May. But like we could see him rise. It depends on, I'm looking above them. I mean, Brandon Clark, there are so many. Like, there was one guy in the comments that was like, watch out, Brandon Clark is going to be on the rise. And I could believe it. Like, he could rise. Keldon Johnson could rise. Like, all the guys above them, I don't see many of them, except for the injured guys, falling. So for me, that's going to make it hard for someone like PJ Washington to really climb up. I think the highest he gets to is maybe like if he's in the lottery, he is at 13, 14. That's the highest I think he's going to get just because of the guys above him. Unless there's, let's say the Lakers make a trade and those centers like a Jackson Hayes or a Ball don't go as high as we thought because other teams were like, hey, we traded up not to get a center, to get somebody else that we liked.
For sure. Dave, you have him going to the Jazz. I like that fit.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what the Jazz need. Don't get me wrong, Derek Favors is a cool guy, but
him and Joe Ingles together are fun.
Yeah.
Those guys can play together.
I don't disagree.
I would love to see that
If you
continue.
get him in a discount next year, I'm fine with bringing him back. I don't want to pay him the money he's making right now, though.
But I wouldn't pay him for the money on that team. I would pay him the money on a different team. I'm a huge favorite fan.
I know.
But I think that him as a 5 would be exciting.
This guy gets it.
What?
I said some would say that you favor him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what you come to this show for.
Bad puns.
Amazing puns. But no,
puns.
PJ Washington fits this team like a glove. Like, he walks in, he spaces out that floor so much right out the bat. I love defensively. He's got instinct. He can help lock down. Like, there's just everything you want to fit a Jazz team. He's the answer.
Well, let's talk about
at this point in the draft. He's their answer.
Player that's similar because I have the Jazz going with Cam Johnson, another 4, similar size, playing at a blue blood school in North Carolina.
Yep.
Probably the best shooter. You said this in the draft.
Yeah.
Career shooter of 81% from the line and a career shooter of 40% from 3. Right now he's averaging 16 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He really plays kind of like a guard, but in a 6'9" body.
Yeah.
I just really love his shot. I think he's extremely efficient. He's extremely quick with his shot, and I think as a stretch forward, that's huge. And if you're talking about the Jazz, having that to help Donovan Mitchell pass off to when driving and attacking, having that space out the floor for Gobert to work inside, having that next to Ingles, I think that would be extremely fun. And having your 1 through 4 be, if they resend Rubio, Donovan Mitchell, and then have Ingles, and then have Cam Johnson, and then have Gobert, I think that'd be extremely fun for the Jazz watching them. I just really like Cam Johnson. You're not going to find a better shooter. And this Jazz team, I don't think they need another project or anything like that. I don't think they need to go after a guy like Nasir Little or Ayo Dosunmu or KZ Okpala. I don't think they need some of these guys that need developing. I think they need to go after a guy who can start for them. And Cam Johnson, he might not have that top end. He's very similar to his former teammate Justin Jackson.
Yeah.
But I think he's better than Justin Jackson. His skill of shooting didn't come out of nowhere, because Justin Jackson was a 26% three-point shooter his junior year, and then his senior year he was like a 48% shooter. Cam Johnson has been a consistently great shooter, and I think he can offer more to a team. I worry about his defensive ability, but also you're playing next to Rudy Gobert. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like PJ Washington is a complete package as a forward in my mind. Yeah, and that's the thing. So for me, I go on PJ, but I think Cam Johnson's interesting, but he's also a fifth-year senior.
And
that. He is what he is, and PJ Washington, like you said, in 1 year we watched him jump a solid level of improvement. Like, he went from being not a first round pick, even maybe a mid 2 in the draft last year. I'm trying to remember back to last year, and I honestly am too lazy to look it up. But like, he went from being a second round pick, where it's like, he had a pretty disappointing first year in college, to the point where he improved his 3-point shot from 23% to 41%. And adding that, going from 0.6 attempts a game to 2.3 attempts a game, free throw percentage jumped up, shot percentage stayed about the same at 54.4 to 54.2. No big deal there. Like, all he's done is get better in college. He's a better rebounder. He's a better blocker. He's got a great IQ defensively. I think that I don't think we've seen the top of PJ Washington when Cam Johnson. I get it. He's a plug and play. He's an NBA player today, but his defense concerns me too much. He's in a protected system right now.
And that's fair. And I think that the defense concerns me, but the age really doesn't, because you look at, let's use Malcolm Brogdon as an example. Malcolm Brogdon was a very well-rounded overall player. Yep. Cam Johnson is a specific skill player. But that draft of 2016 was way deeper than this draft that we're talking about. And you look at the guys who were taken, let's say at 19, Malik Beasley was taken by Denver. He was a project, took a while, clearly working out for them right now. But you look at the guys that were taken in that area. Wade Baldwin did not make it with Memphis Grizzlies. They took him at 17. Henry Ellison is getting buried in Detroit. I think he was even just traded, wasn't he? He was traded. You look at Karras, who's been injured, but he's been a great pick. DeAndre Bembry has not played for Atlanta, very rarely. Evan Malachi Richardson for Charlotte, who has not played for I think it was Charlotte, whatever. He didn't even end up on that team. Wherever he is, he got cut from the Raptors. So in that area of that, like, would you go back and take Malcolm Brogdon there? Yes. And I think that
take the known.
I think that you have to look at the production and respect it. And if you're overshooting, then fine. But you're also the Jazz, and I think like you can kind of take that risk. And I think that he's going to be a guy that can add.
It's true.
At worst, a bench shooter, and that's going to help this team.
Oh, yeah.
Marginally.
I mean, there's a reason they went out and went after Kyle Korver. They need scoring on that team. They need someone who can step in and take shots, and Cam Johnson can fill that role. He is happy. He's pulling the trigger. Right now he's shooting 10 threes a game, and that's his lowest of his 5 years of college, which is hilarious. But he's also hitting them at 46%.
It's insane.
It's nuts.
Dave, Ricky, let's get into your pick of the Jazz, because we're on the Jazz. We talked about PJ. We talked about Cam. You have Grant Williams going there. Still a 4.
I'm confused. I'm looking at your power forward. I get everyone's different. Like, I'm not saying yours has to be exactly like mine, but like, first thing about Cam Johnson is I think he's going to be like, I have him in our next part of the draft. There's a reason we talked about him with John, one of our patrons, about being a sleeper, because he is a guy that has that sleeper mentality, not mentality. He's ability. And he's a guy that I expect to maybe rise as the draft goes. Like right now I have him later on, could be higher as we get closer to the draft. Dave said the Jazz need scoring. It's funny, we all have him going with a 4. I love Grant Williams. I love what he's able to do. Like, I was kind of stat watching during the first segment, the Tennessee-Kentucky game. I get we're in March, where everyone's like, you get on the national stage of champ week in the tournament and you fall in love with players. But after a slow start, like he finishes with 20 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 9 of 11 from the line, and 7 boards. He's a guy that's going to score, get to the line, has the ability to get you boards, and is averaging 19 a game to where
Are you worried about his size as a forward?
But he's a little guy.
I mean, that to me doesn't bother me too much.
Can he get to the hoop with the same level of success because of his short stature? Right
He's
now,
not a shooter. I mean, he's got a good free throw percentage.
Right.
He can build up.
which
to be a
is
shooter.
which is the thing. Like free throw
And
percentage,
he's not
sure, but that's
taking
where
a ton
he's
of threes. Like today, he knocked down 1 of 2.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he's a
great.
guy that he fucking went 23 to 23.
Yeah.
The
man lives at the line.
Yeah, he put up 43 points. Like, and he did like a James Harden thing. Like, he can shoot
But
from the line.
he's got that old man game. Like he runs into the low post and then he'll clip somebody's arm and get the foul. And the question is,
So
is
he's
that
a spur.
But is that sustainable?
He's a spur.
Yeah,
I think
is that sustainable with his height and the lack of physical superiority that he won't have at the NBA level? Right now in college, he's bigger than a lot of these kids.
As a guy who is very similar to Bonzi Colson from Notre
There's
Dame.
a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, he was only
Bonzi.
drafted like a year ago.
I loved him at Notre Dame.
But he was a guy, again, 6'6", loved to play in the post. He dominated the college game, but he doesn't. You could just tell he didn't have that extra level. I think Grant Williams is a better player. I want to make that clear. He's a better athlete. He's more conditioned than Bonzi was.
Bonzi was a little fat.
Yeah, Bonzi was a bigger guy. But I think that it was still. I think it's still something that he has the tools to still develop. I think he's really in a role right now that he's dominating. I think he's a smart player that can develop. So I like Grant Williams. It's just wonder like where is his ceiling, and I think that when we're looking at the NBA, comparing Grant Williams to a Cam Johnson could step in and provide a role for 10 years because he's a great shooter.
Yeah.
So and Grant Williams, he might get sized out, and that's the concern that I have with Grant Williams. I still have him as a first rounder. We'll talk about him later for me, or at least I mention him. But that's the one thing that I just worry about.
And not to play too much off that, but like the same thing for who's the guy that Portland drafted 2 years ago?
Give me some help.
He's like a 4 who's
Collins?
No, he's an undersized. Right before Collins, I think, or later in the draft. Either way.
Like that one, I'm gonna look it up. 2017.
Yeah, I think so. He's somebody I liked in college. Caleb Swanigan.
There it is.
Like
yeah.
undersized guys in the NBA scare me at times because he's a guy who had a really fun skill set in college, and his aggression made him a great rebounder for his size. But then at the NBA level, you take away that advantage, and like, what is he?
The Swanigan didn't have that athleticism. And that was a big thing. So if Grant Williams can have that athleticism that transfers over, then he might be able to make it. Swanigan was just slow.
Yeah,
you could tell. Swanigan was a beast because he had a very crafty
but he dominated
player.
He's a crafty player who dominated because of his size. Even though he was only 6'9", he was going up and playing center a lot. He was able to grab boards. I mean, 10 rebounds a game in college, pretty freaking good. Pretty freaking good. I'm sorry, that was his average in his final year at Purdue. It was 12.5 boards. Like he was an elite rebounder at 6'9". But like I said, as soon as you take away that size advantage from the guys around you, aka college versus the pro, he's now just a smaller role player on a team fighting for minutes.
And that's why I like guys like Cam Johnson and PJ Washington is because they're not relying on that size.
Yeah.
And that's something that I do like. And then maybe, Brandon Clark's a guy, too, that, he's not relying on his size to block shots. He's strictly athletic to be blocking the shots. And that's his best quality that he has right now. That's why he's a guy that I really like in this draft. But that's, like, guys like Grant Williams scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
Schofield as well. He's a guy that worries me, too, because he's using his size. He's using his length and his, his bruteness to make it in college right now. But will that be able to transfer over? It's different for guys like Matthias Thybulle. His size is a
it's NBA size.
It's NBA size. Exactly.
Not many guys in the NBA have a 7+ inch on top, like from their height to their reach. Yeah. And I think we're assuming measuring around 7 feet for his wingspan, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's 6'10" for a 6'5" guard or something like that.
Yeah, I think right now he's at 6'11".
Yeah,
so basically.
I'm hoping he measures in at 7 feet just to give us that
to be cool
notch.
But let's move now to the Celtics. Kind of, we talked about PJ Washington. You were talking a little bit about the 2-guard position, though. Who's on the board that you really like for them?
Well, I mean, early on, of course, at 14, I had them go with Colby White, but originally in one of my first drafts for this I was like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That was early on before the 22-23 we'll get to that flipped because of games yesterday, so I had to switch what I had.
Yeah.
But like for me, they could go in this range, go to Kobe White. They could even take a stab at a Kevin Porter Jr. They can go with a Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's just to me which two guard Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens really like. Like there's no 1-2 guard that's like, yes, this is the only guy that fits with this Boston team.
Yeah, I think you don't have to worry about system, but I think having Kobe White on the board, absolutely grab him. Like I think he's in a different category than Nickeil Alexander-Walker is.
Why do you think that?
I mean, he's a year younger. He's performing better, and I trust him more off ball than I do Nickeil. Nickeil is good, and don't get me wrong, I still have him going to the Celtics like 3 picks later.
Yeah,
but,
we have the same at 18.
But when I watch Nickeil play, like my concern is when that guy gets put, like when the pressure gets put on him, he has a turnover problem. That's extremely mean to say. Like that's the one thing that stands out about his game.
It's critical, but
when I watch him play, I'm like, wow, he's got a really good tool set. Like I love the fact that we get to see him and his cousin both play at the NBA level. This is gonna be awesome. But as I watch him play, I'm like, all right, so he does crumble a little bit when they put the clamps on him defensively. Has a turnover problem. He can score at multiple levels, which is really nice. I think he's got a clean shot, but I think the upside from Kobe White is higher. So I would absolutely separate Kobe White into that different category.
Yeah, and that's why my first pick with the Kings couldn't get it quick enough. However, the one question that I will have is if Kobe White was off the board and Brandon Clark was available, because the T-Wolves, I was thinking either White or Clark. If White was taken by the T-Wolves at 13, I would have had Brandon Clark be the first player the Celtics get, because he's a guy that I think has the potential to be top 10.
But we're looking at guards and fours, pretty much.
Yeah, and it really depends to me. The Celtics have to be smart with it. And of course, they could trade these picks, but they have to be smart with it. Where can I get, if I'm going for this 2 guard, where can I get the one I like? But also, okay, I like these 2 guards, I like these 4s. This guy's going to be here at 14. Will this guy be here at 22? Will this guy be here at 8? Where they're going to have to do a lot of planning that way when it comes to them. And if you value, let's say, Brandon Clark's there at 14, all right, this guy gets pushed to the side because he's not going to be there at 22 where I'm at. Okay, I might have to go with a Nickeil. Like, that's kind of the game that they're going to have to play.
I just think Nickeil, along with P.J. Washington, they just fit that Celtics mold. They just both seem like smart players. And yes, Nickeil has that turnover problem, and you look at the big games against Louisville, 6 turnovers, against Florida State, 6 turnovers, against Syracuse, 5 turnovers, NC State, 5 turnovers, Clemson, 5 turnovers, Notre Dame, 5 turnovers, Purdue, 4, Florida State, again, 4, Miami, 4. He does have that problem of coughing the ball up, but I think I'm not too worried about it just because he just seems so similar to his cousin, and I don't want to knock him too much because he's at a worse college. He wasn't playing for Kentucky. He didn't have Kevin Knox next to him. And he's right now averaging more points than his cousin did in his freshman year. I know obviously it's a year older, but 16.6 points compared to Shea's 14.4. He has worse assist numbers, 5.1 to 4. But again, playing with a worse team. He has more steals than Shea was averaging his freshman year, 1.9 to 1.6. He has a worse shooting percentage, but he's also taking more than Shea was. Shea was taking 1.5 threes a game on 40%, and Nickeil was taking 4.7. He's making 38%, which I really like.
Absolutely.
And right now he's at 77% from the line. So
fundamentally, he is sound. Like, he is absolutely first-round talent.
I think you can clean up the turnovers, especially if you're putting him on a Boston team, where you're playing next to, like, let's say, a Jason Tatum, or hell, even an Anthony Davis, or and next to a Kyrie Irving.
Do you foresee him being a 1 guard or a 2 guard at the NBA level? Because for me,
I think he's a combo.
Yeah, I've got him as a combo. I think he's kind of like that flex, which is why I like him on the Celtics, because I think that
if they play him to play the 1, he can.
They play heavy into the switchable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is he's big, so he can switch, and he can switch onto the threes. I think that he's a guy that I truly think is just a guy that if the Celtics get their hands on him, he's going to grow. Yeah. And he's going to sprout like his cousin has the ability to. I think they're both, if he goes to the Celtics, him and his cousin would be in a great place. 2 great places to really grow and develop, because we see what the Clippers have been doing so far with Shea. I know has ups and downs like every rookie, but you see his high points and you see why he was taken as high as he was last year. I really like Nikhil Alexander-Walker for the Celtics. We'll just throw in the 23rd pick here too, or the 22nd pick here too. I have Jonte Porter. Ricky, you have Luka Samanic. What was it? Samanic? I forget.
Your guess
it was
is
You
pronounced
pronounce
everything.
Yeah.
Samanic. And then you have Dave Goga Batazde going to them. So we all
Double
have
international.
Yeah, we all have international. We all outside of Jonte Porter, and we all kind of are going with that big idea.
But I had Jonte at 18 to him.
Yeah, he's
So I
already
did have
gotten
Jonte
taken.
go.
Yeah, and my thing with Jonte is I'm just worried about the speed and I'm worried about the size. But then again, we're talking about it, a second-year player, just like P.J. Washington, just like Nikhil Alexander Walker, and he is a guy that has a lot of tools. He doesn't have that crazy athleticism, but he has a lot of tools. He is a smart player, so that's why I like Jonte for the Celtics. I thought it was a natural fit for that team.
And they can take it slow with him and condition him up to whatever they need because they have no rush to play him.
Yeah, and who does he remind you of? Like, he reminds me of a less athletic Al Horford.
I guess.
Watching him. Like, I think that they have similar sizes. They're both guys that are smart. They can play smart defense. I don't think they're ever going to be like Joel Embiid defensively where they're like, bullying people down there. But I think they could be smart, put themselves in the right position, steal some balls, block some shots. And I think that he can build into a stretch five, which Horford is. And I think he could be a smart player. And I think, I don't know his leadership abilities yet, but even when his brother was out in Missouri, he was stepping up as a freshman. And I really like that. So Jonte Porter, I think, would be a nice fit for the Celtics. I think that's where his slide stops because I am worried about his injuries.
I think he fits that bench scoring five that Kelly O provided for them in the past. I think it's an easy transition for him. Kelly was a bit more athletic and aggressive. But Jonte's just got a smooth shot, and if they can get him conditioned to the point where he's no longer the slowest human being at the combine, like they got money moving forward because there's not a lot of guys at his size who have that ability to shoot.
Kelly Olynyk being aggressive, that doesn't sound like Kelly Olynyk.
Not the arm breaker, Kelly Olynyk.
Not the arm bar. Let's move now to the Nets, and this is the final team we're going to talk about. Dave, you have Brandon Clark. Ricky, P.J. Washington, and I have Rui Hachimura. We thought this was interesting just because these are all guys that we like. Ricky likes Rui Hachimura. I like P.J. Washington. Dave likes Brandon Clark. So what?
Only one of them chose the player that they liked.
But the thing is funny is here, like, think about this. I like Brandon Clark. I've got him the lowest. Ricky likes Rui Hachimura.
He has him the
highest.
And you've got him the highest. But you got him the lowest, Sean.
Yeah, I hate Rui Hachimura. I don't.
Why?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
There was one commenter that says I like Ricky because he likes Rui,
Oh,
and I hate Sean because he does not like Rui.
I think it's Kentro.
It is.
Oh, is it
It's
Kentro?
the guy I mentioned on Twitter who tweeted
I don't know how to
at me.
read Mandarin, so I apologize. I didn't know how to say his name.
Is he from? I think he said Japan. I think he said.
Well, I'm assuming if he's got the Mandarin letters for his name, and then also if he's like in Hachimura.
He's the one that hit me up on
Twitter. I think he mentioned
Twitter.
he's been watching for FIBA.
Yeah.
So it would make. The connection would make sense that he likes Rui.
But it was just funny. The whole three spot was interesting. That when you brought that up, it sort of caused revelation for me at least. I don't know if you changed opinions.
I think I just said something extremely offensive. I don't think it's Mandarin. I think it's Japanese lettering.
It is Japanese. Yeah,
my apologies.
That's why I said that's why I was questioning. I'm like, no, I think he said he's from Japan.
It is Asian languages that I do not know how to read, and I apologize for that. But I don't hate Hachimura. I question what his top end is going to be. And is he a guy that's just physically dominant? Like, we talked about, like, the guys like Grant Williams. Like, is he just more impressive because he's more athletic than these guys? And does he have a better shot to hit it because he's more athletic than these guys? He's a guy that I don't really see an NBA game from him. I just see a guy who has an NBA body. So there's a moldable potential in him, for sure. I just don't know what his role is in the NBA, and that's why I'm not as high as on him. I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's a bad player. I just worry about his NBA potential, and especially coming from Gonzaga.
What separates him from his teammate then, Brandon Clark? Because both these are older players who are dominating because of their athleticism or size.
I think Clark, you can see the mold of stepping into a stretch 4 spot more than Hachimura, because I think the big thing is Clark's defense. I think that's already an NBA skill, where I don't see Hachimura's NBA skill exactly. He's a very good driver, and he's a very good slasher, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I think Brandon Clark has the higher potential to become an NBA pro, because he was just named a defensive finalist for the Naismith defensive finalist. He's putting up 16 points, was doing 17 back at San Jose State. And you look at his free throw percentage, and it's getting better. He's near 70%. He's not taking a ton of threes, but I think if he works on his game more, he can become a stretch four. And I think he has a better fit in the NBA. Where Hachimura, I think he's going to be good in transition. I think he's going to be good driving with the ball in his hands. But I would rather have Brandon Clark off ball than Rui Hachimura. And I don't think either of those guys should have the ball in their hands as a number one or a guy who is playing on the wing.
See, but the thing that I look at, and this even happened in the St. Mary's game, was that even though he can play off ball, Rui's a guy that can get into passing lanes and then turn that into transition. I know it's just one little snapshot, but in the loss to St. Mary's, there was one pass game. He tipped it out, yet again, the athleticism to outrun the defender, pick it up, put it in for the easy two. And I wonder how much of that is going to be translatable at the next level, even though I do have him as a top 10 pick in this draft, because, yet again, they lost that game, but that was St. Mary's. NBA player, St. Mary's player, the body and obviously the skill is a little bit different.
And I know some people might bring up the fact that Brandon Clark's only taken 14 threes and has taken less free throws, and Hachimura has a higher free throw percentage, and Hachimura's taken 32 threes. He's shooting 46%. I just don't know. I'm probably just being too critical of him. I'll be completely honest. I think I'm being too critical of him. I just don't know if it's there for him. And he has the NBA body.
Well, with Rui's stuck in a tweener role. He's the size of, he has, the foot speed of a 4, but his ideal role is a slashing 3. I think from our conversation, that's kind of where we concluded. So it's like, so you're an oversized 3 basically, and we're going to hope that hope that you can continue to develop that game to play more outside in rather than inside out that you're currently doing. Brandon Clark, I think, is going to end up being, a stretch, probably a small ball 5 in all honesty. Like, he's a guy who, because of his defensive IQ around the rim, he's such a good rim protector that I absolutely love the idea of him rolling in as a small ball 5 or a 4.
Defensively, I think defensively he'd be a 5.
Yeah.
And then offensively he'd be more of a 4.
Yeah,
I think that would be his key role.
He rolls to the net so well, though. That's the thing. I love giving him the ball towards the top of the key and letting him roll to the net, spin move off. It's his bread and butter right now.
Perfect fit for him is Brandon Clark to the T-Wolves. Putting him next to Cat is the perfect role in my idea. That's what I have right now.
Honestly, I like that. I hate when you convince me.
Because Cat doesn't need to be...
Dave's like, I'm going to switch it right now.
You guys both have him going there, too.
I do.
Cat can play that offensive 5. He can play that offensive 4.
How come you guys didn't loop me in on this ahead of time? Make me look like an asshole here.
You're an asshole.
No, I'm just...
I think that would be the perfect fit. Him next to Cat would be extremely interesting.
That does sound...
Because Cat has length and size, but I think that Clark has that intensity, has that ability to get up and block shots, and I think that he would be the piece next to Cat, an athletic young piece to keep him up. Like, Gorgie Dieng just isn't doing it.
Yeah.
What they've been rolling out next to Cat isn't doing it. I think Clark would be an exciting piece to put next to Cat defensively and offensively. Because then Cat could just be playing a 4 offensively. And,
that's his ideal situation. He's shooting incredibly.
He's the most efficient big man I've ever seen.
Anyone's ever seen.
He's incredible. Like, I love Nikola Jokic, right? I'm not going off him. But offensively, like, he's a crazy scorer, Cat. Yep. So I like the Brandon Clark fit with the T-Wolves. Maybe that's just a fit.
You're probably going to see that on the next mock for me.
If it's a big board, I probably would put Hachimura above him.
Yeah.
But I just don't like a fit really for Hachimura, and then it's just when you get to the Nets 16, his talent shouldn't fall farther than that.
Got it.
I don't know. I had probably a poor time explaining it, but that's how I feel about it.
I'm glad you took the time, though.
Final things with the Nets would be Brandon Clark next to Jared Allen. What do you think?
Domination.
Okay. No one's scoring.
No one's
we
going
are the nation.
No one's going
a domination.
I mean, the problem is you can't have another fro on the team. That's the disappointment here.
So
like, if Kobe White was available,
taking
him. And him and Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen out there, like, this team's getting amazing. No, the Nets honestly have been looking for a 4. They've bounced around a couple pieces to try to find that ideal lineup, but I think the future, if they could add someone like Brandon Clark, who I think, like you said, he can grow that shot outside, and defensively he's already there. So I would absolutely love that fit for him.
All right, that's going to do it for 11 through 20. Don't forget to check out 21 through 30. That's going to come out tomorrow if you're watching this the day this dropped. And then also don't forget to drop your comments and concerns for the mailbag that we're doing.